Welcome to the long-awaited writing vlog that I've been preparing forever. But here we are, finally with the finished product, and I hope that you are still with me. This is going to be a long ride. This is just the beginning of it. Starting this project, I knew I wanted to make something, and that is just an idea. But the whole entire concept and what I'm going to make, that was to come a long way. So in the beginning, I knew I sort of set myself on a timer, so I just sat myself down with a pen and water, and I had to come up with ideas. I had to write down anything I could think about on my notebook, and I want to point out that I did go with handwriting first and just use a bunch of pages because it's just this thing with traditionally writing things which are messing up the date and writing 2020. I'm sorry. Oh, traditionally writing is a lot more grounding than whereas if you were to type something and have the option to erase it all the time, so it just be a sort of vacant or floating type of thing. Whereas if you were printing or just sinking this idea down onto a page, you would think twice before actually writing whatever you want because you know papers and airplanes and other plant stuff. When inspiration hit me and said that you had to make a doll show, I was just here like, that's cool, but what am I gonna say in the story? Who are the people? Where is this happening? And yes, so I was getting pretty distracted every single time I was trying to work. Because the story was just so unclear in my head, I just jotted down a bunch of different ideas from different places and kept thinking and thinking about this sort of world I wanted to create. And there was some things that were kept and some things that were not. And I think that in the end, whatever was kept was definitely better than what it could have been in the beginning. But all these thinking ideas were just too much, so how about we take a break? Wait, hold on, what's his name? I want to see his name. It's called Muggy. He's a Pisces. Dude, he's a little smudge, but he's still cute though.
His nose.
Cute. What the heck is this? It's a gorilla. Yes, because I do be distracted by everything. Also, his name was George, if you wanted to know. Yes, so me going to the grocery store is just a whole entire adventure, so thank you very much for joining me. Squishy? What's that?
Whoa.
What is this?
Squish
A
it,
robot?
squish it, squish it.
Me and my brother go shopping or just, do errands, I guess, a lot of times, and I sometimes tend to take things a bit differently than how my brother would expect his older sibling to be. But yeah, enough of that. Ice cream, and I think that it's time to get back to work because we've got a lot to do. At this point, I would believe my ideas were all over the place and I needed a way to organize them. And so came the process of outlining. Now, I have to say that before, whenever I would sit down and write something, I would skip outlining because it just seems so boring to write something, write this whole story before you actually even write it. I like to just dive into it and let the story go. But I do realize that if I wanted to plan on making these episodes, I would want each episode to already be organized into episode and have like each or their beginning and ending, just so that when I arrive at other stages like actual writing or revising, I don't have to face with organizing episodes and beginnings and endings all the time. The main idea is well thought through. My voice sounds super annoying in this clip, so to summarize, originally I wanted to end with 15 episodes, but when my planning arrived at 15, it felt unfinished. This has been fun. I mean, clearly I don't know what I am doing. Sure, more things needed to be developed when I get to the actual writing process, but I knew 15 episodes wasn't going to do this justice, so let me write more. Yay, that's more work, more sewing, more building, and more whack brain for me, but it's pretty worth it because you'll see later that after episode 15, things get feisty. Also, I started the typing process, which is what I would call actual writing the story down, on a document, because my impatient self can just not handle stages of work. Those are some sweet developments from pages I'm getting towards the beginning of the outlining versus like the ending. Just my words were getting smaller and everything was just getting more colorful, I guess. Yeah. Also, I just totally whacked my notebook at this point. Like, I guess it's tough love for using it so much, but it's not living its best life. Like, it needs glow up, but I mean, who's gonna glow up a notebook? Also, we had this huge power outage that was just, so much fun because it was just darkness all around. And it happened sort of a few times in a row. Like, the lights would come back on and you go back off, and it would just be like, oh my gosh! Planning and coming up with new ideas was supposedly the hardest part. I mean, it's supposed to be for every single project that you're ever going to create. But I genuinely had fun just sitting down and writing and just seeing this world through the author's lens. So, it wasn't the hardest thing in the world. But afterwards, looking back right now, I feel like those were the peaceful time when you could just sit down and write ideas, even if I had to come on and off, because sometimes I would sort of get burnt out because things were just not coming in. This was not clear enough. I had to go back and do a bunch of stuff. But yeah, I have to say that in terms of improvement, I feel like looking back on older works, I could say that this was like one of my favorite things I've ever made and written, and I'm just really excited not to set the bars up too high, but I'm genuinely proud of myself. I want to talk about the revision sort of process that happened in 2 stages. First of all, I set aside the story after I finished writing it for maybe like a few days, I guess, before coming back to it and rereading it as if it was like maybe a book, like just the whole entire thing at once, which was kind of hard because it's pretty long. But me being impatient, I just couldn't help myself but correct some little things that I just see along the way, which you probably shouldn't do. Also, spoilers. Excuse me, camera, what are you doing? The audacity. Anyways, where are we? Where were we? Okay, so after rereading it and just seeing this as like a whole story, I went back each episode and reread each episode individually and just corrected things. And mostly what I corrected, because this is not a written piece, so I didn't have to worry about grammars and stuff, but I had to go back and just look at consistencies and at things that the characters did in one episode and had to finish maybe another, and just things that happen because there's like little arcs and little other plots, and I had to like make sure that they had a concrete beginning and concrete ending, and that they were not just floating around the place. That's important. That was supposed to be the day I finished the story once and for all, but it actually happened a day after that because procrastinator number 1 here is doing a voiceover, and but in the end we did have 2 documents because I couldn't keep everything in one, and we have a bunch of words. I didn't take words too much into consideration because if proper grammar was counted in this whole entire process, like maybe some stuff would just go up the hills, but that was not the case. The story was the most important thing, and I really was adamant on having the whole thing written when I finished this video, and I'm proud to say that I did, and that this is why this took forever to make. And but I have to say, my voiceover is almost done, and this is it. Yay!